Hello, it is Diane with Diane's Blue Hearts and Butterflies.com, and the host for January of my in-person class wanted to do something with dinosaurs, and the only dinosaurs I had are retired, and there's none in the current catalog. So I decided to do another retired replay, and this one is using the old stamp set retired from Stampin' Up! No Bones About It. And I saw several different pins on Pinterest, things that I had saved from before that I intended to make and I hadn't yet. And the first one is using a technique that I saw on Dawn Griffith, and she was saying that it was something that she received from Devette Miller. And so this one kind of gives a see-through where you have the main body inside and then you have the skeleton on the outside, and you can kind of see through that to there. And so this was the first card that I had us doing. The things that you'll need for this card is, and I'll have all of this information on my blog at www.dianesblueheartsandbutterflies.com. You can go over there. This is January 2023. And so the first one is a 4 1/4 by 11. This is half of the 8.5 by 11 sheet cut longwise. So you'll need that. You'll need a piece to go inside that is 4 by 5 1/4. You will need a window sheet that is cut at 4 inches by 3 3/4. You'll need to pick a color, and it could be any color you want. This particular color is Sweet Sorbet. And I cut 2 of these at 4 inches by 1 1/4 inches. And then this little piece is 2 1/4 by 3/4 for a label. And then you'll need some coordinating twine or a ribbon that you might want to use on the top. Now, the other pieces that you'll need are out of some basic black cardstock, but you can get it from all of the pieces that you end up with when you score and cut this first piece. So let me show you that. So this one, you're going to get my cutting blade out of the way. You're going to line it up at the 5 1/2, which is halfway. And then you're going to score that there. And then you're going to take that score line and line it up at the 1 1/2 inch mark. Double check myself there. And then you're going to actually cut where it's 1 1/2. This makes the top piece that holds the window. Then you've got this other piece. You're going to take and cut another one at 1 1/2. This will cover the bottom portion of the front of the card. And then there's a little label piece that you would need to go on the back side of this label. I'm not going to cut it out of here because I have already cut it previously, but it is, you'll cut this down to create a 2 1/2 inch by 1 inch piece that will go behind our label here and give a little border. So those are the pieces that you need, and then you can save your other piece of cardstock. And so I'm gonna put that one off to the side here. And then we'll get to the first part is just some stamping. And with this, it is a photopolymer set, which means that you can see through it. We used it with some StazOn ink for the next card. Oh no, this card. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. But you'll need your So the sentiment on the front that I chose to use was "No bones about it, you're great." And then on the inside, "Have a dino-rific birthday." But the one that I'm going to work with right now is the "No bones about it." And then also you're going to need your white piece. Might as well get all this stamping done in the beginning, huh? So again, you'll need your Stampin' Pierce mat to put behind what you're stamping on, because there is no cushion on the photopolymer stamps like there is with the red rubber stamps. And at first I'm just going to use the Memento Tuxedo Black, which is good to stamp on any of the cardstocks that just soak in the ink. The reason that I was mentioning StazOn is because in order to stamp on window sheet, you have to have something that is quick to dry and that doesn't stay wet for very long. And so StazOn is the best thing to use. Looks like my window sheet got a little stuff on it. So anyway, I'm going to start by stamping the sentiment on this. It's a little bit cold up here in Nevada right now. Excuse my head, I'm just trying to get this straight. And so the inks are not wanting to stick very well right now. So that's that sentiment. So I'm going to just set it over to the side. I'm going to use this side just to get some of the ink off. It's always best to get some of that ink off of your stamp before you use your stamp chamois. That way you keep it cleaner longer and you don't get as much of the ink on there that you have to clean off. Now, this normally comes in a big full sheet, but I have small hands and it's more convenient for me to cut these in half. And then I use a just regular clear stamp case to keep those in. If it's going to be a long while before I use them again, I can always put them in a Ziploc bag to hold on to them. I'll clean that better later. So there is that one. And then I'm going to get out the Sweet Sorbet ink. I'm going to go ahead and get the two color pieces. One's going to be going on the top. So over here, one will go on the top, and then this one's going to be down here, and the other one will go on the bottom. Now these are going to be to help camouflage where we're adhering the window sheet, because the window sheet's actually going to go on the front and not behind. But on these pieces, I just took the leaf print that's in the stamp set and then the footprints that are in the stamp set, and I'm just going to color those in the same color ink as the paper. You can use Versamark and it gives a little bit lighter shade of the color than just the full ink stamp. And I just took this one and I just kind of stamped it where it's kind of meandering across here. And then the leaf print, I'm just kind of doing it randomly across the top. And it's always good to remember to stamp straight down and straight back up so that you don't wobble and get any of those boo-boos on the stamping. So let me set those aside now. And I'm going to leave the ink open because I'm going to need it for this next part. So getting some of that ink off of here. Right now, I'm going to set those aside. And then going to take the, what is it? The white piece, and this one is the Seal Plus. I prefer to use it, but you can use whatever that works best for you. It's probably not good to use the white glue on this for this part because we're going to be stamping on this once we put it inside. So on this base that has the flat piece, we're going to go ahead and line this up inside and glue that down. There is a reason for doing that. And so what I'm going to do is fold that back over. I'm going to line it up on my grid paper so that I know where it is. I'm going to grab the bottom piece and I'm going to line it up on both sides and the bottom edge. And then I'm going to grab a pencil, and over here on my grid paper, just off to this, oh, I shouldn't be doing it on this one. Hold on. I remember now. This is what we ran into. So I'm going to put it right on here. Line it up on the grid paper. I put grid paper on my Stampin' Pierce mats so that I don't get the ink all over the mat. I got that tip from Kelly Atchison, I think is her name. And so line all this stuff back up. And then I'm going to make a mark where that ends and the next one begins. And then I'm going to move that out of the way, and I'm going to move that out of the way. Now I'm going to take, it's the full body of the dinosaur, and I'm going to stamp that right in this area so it can come through the window. So I'm going to apply the ink. The reason I wanted to set it on the Stampin' Pierce mat again is because it is a photopolymer stamp. And then you line that up in here and kind of center it. And then you push, push, hold, give time for that ink to go in, and then you want to lift it straight up. If there are some areas that you want to fill in because it didn't quite get a very good stamp, you can use the Stampin' Right marker that matches, and it works really good to do that. So I'm done with the Sweet Sorbet. I'm going to bring back the Memento Tuxedo Black ink because I also, oh, that moved over. I also want to stamp the message, the sentiment up here above where it's going to be hidden from the front. So I'm going to put that, looking for that line. Stamp that and hold. These are more of the dye-based type inks, so they soak into the paper. And the other thing that I wanted to do, oh, actually I do need the Sorbet ink again. Let me grab it because I want to add the feet again below this line here. And so I'm just going to add, I hope that I'm still on camera, I want to add some of these feet coming across, these footprints like that. And so let me get those off to the side, move that right now, and then I'm gonna stamp those off a couple of times, make sure that the ink is off. All right, now the part that we're going to work on next is the front. I'm going to move that out of the way. And I need to make sure that I get this straight and folded well. So you want to use your bone folder to do that. So like I was saying, we're going to be adding a strip of glue, or glue runner, sorry. You can use tear and tape, you can use, you could use the white glue, but I wouldn't suggest it because it gets really sticky and oozes because it doesn't absorb into the window sheet. I would leave a little bit of a gap on each end there just because this is 4 1/4 inches wide and the window sheet is only 4. So in order to not have it have sticky on the outside, you just kind of do that. Now, I should have had my silicone sheet underneath there to capture this glue that goes over the edge, but it folds over nicely. So what I'm going to do is fold this piece down. Now the window sheet, you're going to want to make sure that you've got the 4-inch piece as the top and bottom. Oh, I got something sticking there. The other side is 3 3/4. So I want to take the 4-inch side. I'm going to hold this top piece down. I'm going to go down here and line up the best I can the sides with the white sheet underneath, and then I will push down to adhere. And this is why this is good for the Seal Plus, because it holds, it's more of a permanent adhesive. And the next piece is going to be the bottom piece. You're going to want to make sure that you get this lined up as well at the bottom. Well, hold on. Before I do that, you're going to add the adhesive strip to the top of this piece. Again, leaving a little bit of space on each end for the space that's going to be needed. Then you'll line it up with your the bottom of your card and each side. Hold that there, and then when you fold down, you just kind of mash that, and then when you get down here, go ahead and stick that to that. Now you have the window sheet on the front of the cardstock. Then these other pieces that we made, this is what's going to camouflage that. So it's not imperative or anything, but I noticed on one of my cards that I had the feet going this way, but they're walking the other way. So you just, if that bothers you, you may want to watch out for that. I'm adding adhesive to this piece. I want to make sure it sticks down everywhere. And I know I get really close to the edge on some of these, and you just need to make sure that it's folded back over. So this one, since I'm a little bit OCD and it does kind of bother me, I'm making sure that my feet, the footprints, are aimed in the same direction. And then you're going to use just a small border around on this piece to cover over where that window sheet is. It just gives it a little bit of camouflage so you don't notice it right off. And then the leaves I did put that on the other end, the top piece. And there we go. Yeah, there was this stamp set that was dinosaurs, and there was another one that's been retired too. And I don't have that one. This was the only one that I did have. And the only reason I had it is thanks to a dear friend that I lost, Debbie Holly. And she had this stamp set to make some cards for her grandson. So now I'm going to go ahead and bring back the Stampin' Pierce mat. And this is, while I'm here, let me just go ahead and glue the label together, the sentiment label, just so I have it ready. Put this on here, leaving that border around. Put that there. Now is when we're going to bring out our skeleton. You're going to want to be able to look over this so that you can line up the skeleton fairly well. And like I said, you'll need to use the Jet Black StazOn ink. When it comes, it has this little cover piece. Don't throw that away. It is something that you do need to keep on there so that it can help preserve the ink on the stamp, on the ink pad, because it's got some alcohol in it that it tends to dry out faster. So that little lid helps kind of keep it in. And so I'm inking this skeleton up. Now, one thing when working with window sheet is it is very slick. So when you are using this, if you want to, you can line it up on a Stamparatus and use that. But otherwise, you want to just make sure, and excuse if my head gets in the way, you want to make sure that you go straight down and straight back up without moving it. Hold it there for a few seconds so that it sticks. If you ever want to emboss on window sheet and you're using the Versamark to as the medium to hold the powder, you definitely want to be careful because it is very slick. So I'm going to pull straight up, and you can see the skeleton there. I did miss a piece, but it doesn't bother me that much. So the person that gets the card is going to be wondering, how in the world did you do that anyway? So let me set that aside. Now, there is a StazOn cleaner, but it is recommended you do not use it on photopolymer stamps because it can distort the rubber. Unless you are going to be doing it right there by soap and water, that you can get that cleaner off very quickly. And I did have a stamp set that one of the lines doesn't stand up very well anymore, and that was before I found out about the StazOn cleaner. It's not the StazOn ink that messes with it, it's the cleaner for it. So another thing that we can do while we're waiting for that to dry, I'm trying to find there the end. This the new In Colors came with a pack of the twine that it matches perfectly to the papers and everything else. It's really nice, and so that's another reason I chose to use the In Colors on some of these cards, is because it has a matching twine. You can do whatever color you want. If you only have the white twine, you can make it colored by wrapping it around a tube if it's not already there, or something. And then you can take the matching marker, the Stampin' Write marker, the dye-based ink one, not the blends, and you can just kind of mark across that white, and it'll give the same kind of look as this to use with your other projects. So I'm going to bring this out here, and then I'm going to cut it off. And then I'm going to fussy with this a little bit and bring some back over to this side. I just kind of liked it up towards the top. And when you're working with twine, it's always best to go ahead and get your knot first, because you don't have 5 hands. And so I just tie this to get the knot, and then you can tie the bow. And then you can fuss with that bow and get it how you like it. So we haven't glued this down, so you can always kind of fuss with a little bit more if you wanted that bow to be more centered or kind of not so far over to the edge. I think I'm gonna pull a little bit of that, get that tight. And then if you want, you can cut your ends a little bit more. I don't think I'm gonna bother with this one. And then you're going to take your, you can do this with dimensionals, or you can do this with just running some adhesive strip on here. I do want to use some dimensionals. Trying to use up some of my pieces, my edges. Everybody likes to get the most they can for what they have. So I'm going to just do a few of these across here. And peel those off. I lost some fingernails. Yeah, the other day I was doing some work or chores or something and ended up breaking them. I think it was, one of them was even while I was folding laundry. Don't do laundry. Maybe that would work. So this I'm going to put kind of off over here where you can still see some of the footprints, and it's kind of going up over that. So then you end up with a really cute card and some hidden messages and things inside. And these I made to give out and for the class that they're wanting. You can always remember to stamp your envelope with something that you want out of the stamp set, or another stamp set, or whatever you want to do. And I hope that you enjoyed this. Please check out my blog at www.dianesblueheartsandbutterflies.com. And I appreciate if you would like to make this type of card. You can still get the ink, the paper, the window sheets, things like that. This stamp set again is retired, but you can make it with almost any kind of two-step stamp. Hold on just a moment. I forgot to grab something to show. And yes, I know that it's another retired stamp that I did this with, but I did it with the Inspiring Iris to do the same type of thing. And there are several types of stamp sets like this in the current mini catalog for January through April 2023. And they have an outline stamp as well as the kind of watercolored image so that you can still see what it is inside, and then have the other one here. And so it's the same basic idea, and that you can use with other stamps as well. It's a great quick useful tip and useful technique. So I hope that you will enjoy it and try it out with some of the stamps that maybe you have. And also check out my blog, and please like the video and subscribe if you'd like to see more of what I do and what I share. If you click the bell icon, it will notify you every time that I upload a video. And I don't do them very often, so you won't be getting a lot of notifications. But I appreciate your time taken with me to share what I love to do. Thank you.